Hey there, this is Patrick with Dallas Hockey Hangout, coming to you after a very long homestand. Now, coming to you after a 3-2 overtime win for the Dallas Stars over the Detroit Red Wings. Very exciting game, very close game. I thought the score was indicative of really how close the game really was. Dallas obviously gets off to a 2-0 lead, which remember tweeting, I really thought that they were off to a pretty convincing win because, you know, Dallas has a habit of giving up the first goal recently and still finding a way to win. It does feel like when they do get off to a good start, that tends to lead to, larger victory, like C 7-2 beatdown against Edmonton. No tomfoolery. Let's try that again. No tomfoolery really in this game. There was some. I liked. I think it was Harley was tussling with someone. It was fun to see his smile, and obviously, whoever did that probably shouldn't have woken that bear up. So yeah, let's just try and get into it. How should we be viewing this team? Well, as a team of history, right? For those of you not aware, the Stars just tied a franchise-long 15-game point streak dating back to the famous 1998-99 Stanley Cup winning team. Obviously, they didn't have OT losses or wins, or rather, shootout losses there. So it's a little bit different, but I'm going to get into overtime and shootouts a little later. But that said, it's still right up there, given that the one blemish on Dallas's record is a shootout loss, to the number one team in the league. So, and that might be changing now, right? Because Dallas, with its recent, extended stretch now, and Colorado having a tough schedule and faltering a bit, Dallas has cut the lead in the division and the conference and the league down to 3 points now. So I believe Colorado still has a game in hand. We'll look at those standings a little later. Yeah, Dallas is on the move, right? So how should we be viewing this team? As a historic, on-fire team? Now, there's still lots of games left, and I'm sure many of you remember how Dallas ended the season last year. So it's tough because I thought largely Dallas played really well in the playoffs last year. I thought their series against Edmonton was very close. No pity points there, but it's not like they got crushed. They fared better against Edmonton the first time around. But that said, I don't think that limping into the playoffs had any effect on Dallas. I mean, I think what had the most effect is just the fact that they had to play Colorado and then the 1 seed Winnipeg in the first two rounds, which obviously that narrative is taught now. Is there anything more predictable than a general manager or owner complaining about a situation when it directly affects them for the first time? So, Bill Guerin is like, yeah, I want to see the playoff format change. Well, yeah, I'm sure you're motivated to see that change pretty quickly while your team's great and while you guys have Quinn Hughes on contract, all that. From my understanding, it doesn't sound like the NHL is going to change it anytime soon. That said, my personal preference is, yeah, again, we'll look at this. We're going to have to pull it up now because when you look at how the normal or previous seeding would have gone in or compared to how the NBA works and how it's worked in the NHL for a while. If you were to pan that out and it's 1A, 2-7, 3-6, 4-5, with Dallas being the 2 seed, they would currently be set to play. Wouldn't you like this? How funny. If it started today and there's no divisions, because that's how it used to be when it hit the playoffs, there's no they did reward divisional seeds at a time. But anyways, if it was just 2 through 8, Dallas would be playing Edmonton in the first round if the playoffs started today. Now, I don't expect that to hold, but yeah, that would be pretty funny. Utah is currently just a point above Edmonton at 74, and Edmonton's got 73, and San Jose's got the last spot at 70. So look, Dallas, we'll get into it again later, but let's say this was to pan out and Dallas was to potentially play Edmonton, Utah, or San Jose in the first round. I think I'm feeling the best about Utah, but it's not a great feeling. You know, Edmonton, we know what they can do. I know what San Jose can do as far as, and they've shown it when playing Dallas this year, erasing a big hole and coming back to win. So, I mean, they can play Dallas. That's not in question. And, Askarov is the real deal. I think he's legit. So I would give San Jose just as good of a chance as Edmonton almost, but slightly second, and then Utah. But I mean, that said, it's the NHL playoffs. And then you have the Kraken and the Kings, on the outside looking in by just a point right now. They have a couple games in hand on Utah. So, and then you have Nashville's kind of there. They've got a couple games in hand. Kind of looks like Winnipeg's out of it, but they just won. I mean, look, we'll do it again, but I would feel okay. I'd feel better about playing the Kraken or the Kings. But yeah, man, the Sharks, the Mammoth, Oilers, that would be tough. So yes, Minnesota's going to be tough, but not by an exorbitant amount over a potential Edmonton or Utah or San Jose in this changed up scenario, for the record. But yeah, I mean, if Dallas gets the 1 seed, then they're looking at that. So there's the President's Trophy stats that I yet to look up that I promise I will. But yeah, I'm just not. President's Trophy winners don't win the cup very often. So I mean, if you told that to the players, they'd be like, whatever, that's a dumb thing. And that really probably should be how we look at it. So Dallas gets the 1 seed and they have a better matchup in the first round before they have to play the winner of Colorado, Minnesota. That would be really ideal. I think that, there's always that phrase in sports, sometimes you get what you wish for, and you get at the end of the season, at least in the NBA sometimes, or sometimes in the NFL as well. It's like you see teams kind of rest a few starters to ensure a certain matchup in the playoffs. And man, sometimes, that doesn't always work out. Just off the top of my head, I believe the Chargers wanted to play the Patriots in the playoffs and, kind of pulled some of their starters and were fine being the whatever seed, 7th seed or whatever. And yeah, I think they probably are regretting that decision. So anyways, lots of games to go officially for Dallas. They've got 16 games left with some big ones, on the horizon. So again, how should we be viewing this team? I wanted to note they got the 10-game winning streak, the shootout loss to Colorado, but then, oh yeah, just another 4-game winning streak. This team should be really, or this league should be really worried about the Stars because, they had one bad stretch during the season for a variety of reasons. And, they have every reason to not be playing the best. And I did want to note, the advanced stats on, expected goals for were in Detroit's favor, pretty considerably, honestly, from a percentage standpoint. But it was really 2.2 for the Red Wings to, 1.31 for the Stars. So a pretty low event game. And largely Detroit had the better of the chances. I think part of that is Dallas goes into a bit of a shell. I don't think it's intentionally, but I do think it's an unintentional defensive shell, and just teams have just been succeeding a little bit lately. I do still think that's a part of their game that they need to get sorted out before the playoffs. Now it's going to be different when the playoffs happen. It's going to be pedal to the metal, so I don't think they're going to relax. But that said, Detroit, the back half of the period of the third period really leaned on Dallas. Let's just get into how the game went down. I mean, Dallas started out great. Wyatt gets his 36th of the season. Maverick, 18 quiet assists this season, and Neal's 6 assists of the year. So anyways, yeah, I mean, what a pretty goal by him. This is shades of Duchesne's, the 7th goal for the Stars against the Oilers. And if you're just picking up, if you haven't seen that one, if you're returning, whatever, and you missed that one, please go back and look at that Duchesne goal against Edmonton the other night. It's just a thing of beauty. It's just chef's kiss. It's so good. And Wyatt's goal is right up there because of his, his feet and hands and his just IQ. I mean, he put, as well as I thought Lucas Raymond played, he put Raymond in a blender down by the goal line. And, he spins to his backhand, Wyatt does, but then that sets him up to do a strong power move to the forehand. and he's able to kind of catch Gibson a little late and beat him short side. I believe I remember seeing it kind of launch off his stick and up past his blocker faster than he could kind of close that post. So great goal by Johnston, really aggressive. That's a goal scorer's goal. And when I say that, it's like these players have a knack for scoring, and you wonder, like, well, why can't everyone do it like that? That's because it takes the true goal scorers to do it. It takes the quick movements, catch players off speed and lacking and flat footed and giving goalies a couple different looks to look at. He's just on a tear this year. I'm sad that he won't get to 50. I wouldn't write off, or I wouldn't say go for a goal a game, but man, he just cooks all season long. And I think it's just that this team's just so good. He's just so good. And if he wanted to be more selfish, I think on another team he could put up 50 easy. They could just force feed him on the power play all day and night, and he'd get 50. I mean, heck, isn't that what they did with Hyman for a year or two? At least a year for Edmonton. They just force fed him on the power play, and he put up 51 year, if I'm not mistaken. So anyways, I did want to note John Gibson, I thought largely played pretty well. His stats don't speak for it, but Dallas started off the period shots like 9-0. So, he kept him in it, and Dallas easily could have been up more. Couple minutes, the second, Dallas is keeping that momentum going, which is, I was feeling like, oh man, it might be a runaway. But yeah, I really like this goal for a variety of reasons. One thing I noted was, man, let's have a Ritzkovian corner again. This guy's just so good. And you can see him check the clock and see how much time is left on the power play. And by the time that Robertson gets him the puck, he knows that the puck needs to go on net, that's kind of where the play is headed. And, it didn't get on net. It got deflected right to Michael Bunting. But I really, if he's not thinking shot for shot and aggression and, hey, knowing time and score, that play doesn't happen. So I thought that was a really impressive play by the rookie. And, it goes right to Bunting. And then what I really liked about Bunting is, I think, looking back and rewatching it and hearing Razor describe it as Bunting's wheelhouse, I just thought it was interesting because of where the puck was, and all of a sudden it finds Bunting's stick, like literally right in the perfect place for him to shoot. Now, because I am a simpleton doing a podcast from his office, I can't begin to know how much leverage and how far, I played hockey, but, it seems like he's getting that shot off with like not a ton of leverage. I thought that was really impressive. And also just welcome to Dallas, Michael. I touched on it before, but he's just got major Steve Ott vibes, but with the ability to score. We all know Ott had the ability to score, and, we haven't seen it from him quite yet get nasty, but I mean, I can't wait to see his energy in the playoffs because, whoever the Stars play, they're going to hate playing against him. And with him on those depth lines, the third and fourth lines, at least currently, just banging bodies, being physical, forcing turnovers. Like, he's got speed, he's got hands, he's got, quickness, he's got skills. So man, I'm really glad that Dallas added at the deadline and really got a hard-nosed player like him. So yeah, just really loved his shooting position there. And then, yeah, Dallas is up 2-0, but like Detroit starts to lean on Dallas late in the second. And, Onger really, I thought, played really well late in the second. And he had that weird, like, punch of a save that kind of punched it over the net. I'm sure not sure who shot that, but yeah, it was just, he was scrambling and, just played really well largely through the first two periods. And look, there's some luck and stuff involved in some of the other goals, but I mean, yeah, let's just get to that. Like, start the third period and Detroit gets on the board, almost 7 minutes in. But man, they give it to Edvidson, but it was because you could see on the replay how Ottinger is clamping down his glove. It goes off the like physical, harder part of the glove, and the puck just spins off of it and through him. I believe through his legs. So just a really weird, I mean, the puck's right there. He's doing what, he's trained to do. And just sometimes that happens, man. It's all happening so fast. And, 1 millimeter to the left, and maybe that finds its way into his glove, or just not spin backwards, whatever. But I mean, Detroit did earn that goal getting to the net. The stats, the shots really evened up, the chances really evened up, the expected goals really evened up. So, and then, they're on the board and, cooking, and all of a sudden you're just getting this feeling that Detroit's in the game. And, I reminded my buddy that I went to the game with, like, look, Detroit, and we're going to go over the East here in a bit, but Detroit is fighting for its life right now, because they are just not playing well and floundering, definitely without their best player Larkin, and they're floundering. So they're a pretty desperate team, and I want to give them some credit here. I also forgot to grade the Stars last game, so previous Patrick and whatever 10 minutes, make sure to do that. I'll just have to time travel 10 minutes ahead, remind myself, come back. I will have already known to do it. Bill and Ted. Watch it if you haven't seen it. It's such a classic. Anyways, Dallas fights back in the third, but really, like Detroit, it's just, just playing downhill, and, all of a sudden they get a quick 3-on-2, and you can see Detroit's speed is really on display. Raymond cuts to the net, gets a good shot on that. It pops up in the air, and he's able to get it out of midair. And, very similar to that Ben goal a couple games ago. These guys are just so good at eye-hand coordination, and to just get that out of midair while he's crashing into the net, and maybe not kneeing the goalie in the head while he's doing it, because there is a way to get in there without taking out the goalie. So I was impressed with Raymond. He's always seems to be a thorn in the Star side, and he's got a lot of talent. And largely, I don't root for Detroit. Those rivalries is thick with Dallas, dating back to late '80s and early 2000s, and obviously they changed to the East. That's still weird, and some people don't even really have lived in a hockey world where Detroit was a big rival of Dallas. And especially with, like, I don't know, just as a kid, this is just me, but you're playing the hockey video games, and you go in alphabetically, all the teams are organized, and you go Dallas, Detroit, and then you see that it's this beautiful green, then boom, right down to that red. It's like, ew. And, at the time, typically, Detroit had a better rating than the Stars did. So it was a quick, ew, no. So, yeah, and then, I did want to note that, Detroit really, their fans really travel well, and they were in the game and made the game exciting, so it was hard to be too critical of that. Definitely had some inebriated Detroit fans in our section, and I am quite pleased to report that they were very sad after the loss. So, they were up, they were down, they were up, they were down. Pretty bad. I don't know. It's the rivalry still burns within me. I don't feel bad for Detroit at all. They are on this, like, credible tear of not making the playoffs, though, and it's tough for, like, a perennial or a notable hockey market team to, like, not be very good. I think that's why, while not a big hockey market team, I think, people are rallying around the Sabres this year, is that it's a good story. It's nice to see teams make the playoffs after they haven't in a while. And, these fans really care about their teams, and to go all these years without making the playoffs, it just really saps your energy. And, you trade away players to try and rebuild, and you, like, form, bonds and love of certain players, and then they get shipped out. And, one just with Tyler Myers coming from Vancouver, I got to imagine there's some sad Vancouver fans to, see him leaving. Stars are happy to have him, that's for sure. But look, Detroit, I mean, they earned what they got in this game. They earned their point, and they almost won it. I mean, it was really close. So Andre had to make a big save on like a weird slop play by, like, Kane, and it's all crazy. And Kane's so smart to wait, and Andre with his big body's all sprawled out and somehow makes that save, I believe, without a stick. Man, I really thought Kane was going to score there. So, as in life, it's all about perspective, right? So, yes, Dallas gave up a 2-0 lead, but, they have the wizard Harley to thank. So, look, it was just Dallas is able to diffuse a play. Wyatt gets the puck and gets the quick up to Harley. And, typically in overtime, you just are hoping players are hoping for 2-on-1s to develop typically. So when I saw Harley get the puck and he had just Edmondson on him, I kind of got the sense that he was going to either pull up or kind of be a little bit slower into the zone so that someone could catch up. Because it was just him, he had that head down mindset and he went in and got just such a terrific angle on Edmondson, and it specifically not to have his shot blocked. And he just picks a corner bar down on Gibson. And what are you going to do if you're Gibson? A defenseman comes in and snipes a shot like that. Like, congrats if you're Gibson. And I mean, look, what a great shot from Harley. And one of my favorite quotes of his and just the team. And I believe, I'm sure I mangle it, but I believe Thomas has said at times that his dad told him that, if you have the puck, you're on offense. And I just love that. Like, he's a defenseman. He is thinking defense first most of the time, but man, he obviously has a knack for scoring and OT moments. Yeah, I mean, just skates down, finds a perfect angle, beats Gibson for the win. Dallas gets to 15 points. That's the franchise record, ties it. And, they continue what has been a really spectacular homestand. And we'll cover Utah in a bit. But yeah, I did a little bit of research on why this information is a little bit more easy to find. It is what it is. And maybe my math's off, whatever. But yeah, that improved Dallas to 8-10 in overtime, if I'm not mistaken. And 4-6 in OT. So they haven't exactly had the best OT set. They have been a little bit better in the shootout. 4-4 in the shootout, 4-6 in OT. But so it was just looking back, it was Hens against Ottawa on November 11th. That was the first OT win. Harley got the second one. It was Winnipeg on February 2nd. Miro just recently against Chicago on March 8th. And then obviously Harley again against Detroit on the 14th. So yeah, impressive and goal for Harley and 3 stars. Yeah, it's hard not to give it to Harley given what that meant. And, Detroit comes back. Yeah. And my gut is Ottinger, because without him, without those big saves, his save percentage 917. He was the better goalie. And, I'm just such a big believer in their importance of the game. And third star will go Wyatt with the goal and assist, +1, couple shots, 19 minutes ice time. Yeah, just an impressive win considering Dallas didn't have its best game and was up 2-0 and fell into this lull, and Detroit was able to capitalize. Yeah, moving forward, Dallas has got a couple, we'll touch on Utah in a bit, but after that, we got a really tough consecutive games. You got at Colorado on Wednesday, the 18th, and then at Minnesota on Saturday, the 12th. Got a couple other matchups with Colorado and Minnesota at home late in the season. So I see it as 2 big major opportunities for Dallas to, not that they need to, but make a statement. If you could beat Colorado and Minnesota in their barns, that would be big time. Plus, this game against Colorado on Wednesday is going to be TNT, so I'm sure that's going to be rocking. But that said, look, the teams are better at home. I'm not saying I expect Dallas to roll over anything, but I certainly would give Colorado and Minnesota the edge in those places. There's a reason why home ice advantage is so important in the playoffs. That said, I would expect them to split one of those, just how stats work. And then, we'll see how the Colorado Minnesota pair of games goes late in the season. But yeah, if the playoffs started today, the Utah Mammoth are in the playoffs. They've got a lot of speed. They are one of the few teams in the hunt that have a +20 differential or plus goal differential. They're at +20. However, they've lost 4 straight. So they've been playing really well and then not. So I do think that they are underrated. And I think just, the Utah of it all, not a ton of people dialed in on just how much, talent they have. And I've watched them at least 10 games this year, but I couldn't sit here and tell you who their leader. And I mean, I knew Keller was balling, but Gunther's kind of tailed off, and Schmaltz, honestly, they just gave Schmaltz a big contract, and I was a little surprised by that. 59 points in 67 games, really underrated player, and I'm really looking forward to because one thing I love about this league is like, look, I can't watch all the games, so I really enjoy learning about the league and learning about these young guys and learning how to pronounce names and learning what you know core that this team's going to be able to build off because they do have a good core. They do have good defensemen. Like this is going to be a tough game on Monday. So we know what Keller can do. This guy can skate. I mean, Gunther's leading the team in goals by a fair margin, 33 goals. Next closest is Schmaltz with 24. Yeah, going to be a tough game, but they're going to Stars are going to try and polish off a really, really successful homestand. Really been enjoying these games at the American Airlines Center lately. The energy has been there, the buzz is there. It's a really great time to be a Stars fan right now. And then also, like, as I was explaining to my friend, like, man, these are the games. There's 16 games left that are of consequence and mean a lot to the players and fans, but also they're not playoff games, and the season doesn't end tomorrow if they lose. So I really revel the last 20 games of the regular season. Dallas is kind of, they're just playing so well this year that these games just don't mean as much, but largely over the course of the last 15, 20 years, they do. These last 20 games mean a ton, as evidenced by how Detroit was playing. So yeah, just really looking to soak these games against Colorado, Minnesota coming up. Those will be just must see games because you're going to see the matchups. You're going to see you know, who the Stars going to run out there against McKinnon and what the D pair, obviously Miro, but how is that going to trickle down and who does Myers play against and who's Bishop get to beat up on? And yeah, it's going to be really fun. I can't wait to do a little bit more in depth and kind of talk about how Minnesota and Colorado have addressed some of their depth in their lineup as well. So man, it's going to be a great run to the regular season. So many great games left, especially not just in the West and Pacific and Central, but the East as well. So we'll do the East breakdown Monday after the Utah game. So we'll just keep this pushing. So at Patrick Hayslip on Twitter, Dallas Hockey Hangout at gmail.com. If you want to send me any questions or concerns, really appreciate all the support. Kind of feels like we're gaining a little bit of momentum here. Not not trying to sell ads here. Just want to. I feel like I have a lot of good experience and perspective, having covered tons of sports and Stars games before. So, just 2026, we're doing it this year. So, thanks for all the support. Catch you guys next time.